You're standing somewhere beautiful. Maybe it's a sunset over the ocean. Maybe it's a mountain view you drove 3 hours to see. Maybe it's just a quiet evening in a place that finally made you exhale. And almost everyone around you has their phone out. They're adjusting the angle, checking the preview, already composing the caption in their heads, trying to bottle the moment so they can share it with people who aren't there. But you notice one person who isn't doing any of that. They're just standing there, watching. No screen between them and the sky, no performance, no audience. Just the moment and them completely inside it. Maybe you felt a flicker of something when you saw them. Something between envy and recognition. Because somewhere deep down, you already know what they figured out. In 2026, with 4.9 billion people scrolling every single day, choosing to step away from all of it isn't weird. It isn't antisocial. It isn't missing out. It's one of the most quietly radical things a person can do. So today, let's talk about what's really going on inside the minds of people who don't use social media. What their brains are protecting, and what the rest of us have been slowly giving away without even noticing. Let's start with your brain. Every time you post something and someone likes it, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. That's the same chemical involved in gambling, sugar, and every other thing humans find almost impossible to stop doing once they start. The like isn't just a button, it's a reward signal. And every major social media platform was deliberately engineered to trigger it as often as possible. So here's what ends up happening to you. You go somewhere beautiful. You do something meaningful. You have a moment that genuinely moves you. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet question forms. How is this going to land? You're no longer just having the experience. You're producing it. For an audience. In real time. That's called extrinsic motivation. Your sense of whether something was worth it depends on how other people respond to it. People who don't use social media have held on to something different. Intrinsic motivation. The experience is the reward. The sunset was beautiful because they were there to see it, not because 300 people double-tapped it. They don't need outside validation to confirm their life has value. They already know it does. And that single shift in how the brain operates changes absolutely everything downstream. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Every time you open your feed, you're watching a highlight reel. Every photo was chosen. Every caption was edited. Every life on that screen looks more exciting, more successful, and more joyful than it probably feels on a random Wednesday morning. And your brain doesn't automatically correct for that. You end up unconsciously comparing your behind the scenes, with all its doubt and mess and ordinary Tuesday energy, against everyone else's greatest hits. And you keep losing a competition that was never real to begin with. Sound familiar? Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania studied exactly this. They found that limiting social media to just 30 minutes a day significantly reduced feelings of depression and loneliness. And the people who stepped away entirely? They showed the lowest anxiety levels of any group in the study. The lowest. People who don't use social media have simply opted out of the comparison game. They're not measuring themselves against curated versions of other people's lives. And the psychological relief that comes from opting out is, according to the data, very real and very significant. Here's something most people don't realize is happening to them. Brain imaging studies have shown that excessive social media use is associated with reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles focus, decision-making, and impulse control. The more you scroll, the harder it becomes to concentrate. Not just in the moment, structurally, over time. Think about the last time you tried to read something long. Did you make it through without picking up your phone? Could you sit with a single thought for more than a few minutes without feeling that restless pull to check something? That feeling isn't a character flaw. It's a pattern your brain has been conditioned into. One small dopamine hit at a time. People who have stepped away from social media are quietly rebuilding something the rest of us are slowly losing. The ability to go deep, to stay with an idea long enough for it to actually mean something, to read a full book, to think one complete thought from beginning to end without interruption. In a world that rewards speed and surface, The ability to focus deeply is becoming one of the rarest and most powerful things a person can have. And the people who protect it? They already have a head start. Social media promised us connection, and in some ways it genuinely delivered. But there's a difference between connection and performance. And it's worth being honest about which one most of us are actually getting. When you post your life online, you're making editorial decisions. What to show, what to leave out, how to frame it. You are, in a very real sense, marketing yourself to an audience. And over time, that habit starts to shape how you experience your own life from the inside. You begin to see moments through the lens of how they'll look to others. You start living for the narrative instead of the experience itself. And the line between who you are and who you're presenting yourself to be starts to blur. People who don't use social media have quietly stepped off that stage. Their conversations don't have a comment section. Their relationships don't come with a like count. The laughter is real and unfiltered. The silences are comfortable and genuine. Instead of maintaining surface-level contact with 500 acquaintances, they invest deeply in a smaller number of actual relationships. And decades of research on human well-being consistently point to the same conclusion. The quality of your close relationships is one of the strongest predictors of how happy and how healthy you actually feel. They're not performing their life for an audience. They're living it for themselves. Here's a number that's worth sitting with. The average person spends about 2.5 hours on social media every single day. Over the course of a year, that adds up to roughly 38 full days, not hours. Days. 38 days of your one life, spent scrolling through other people's curated highlights. But the time itself isn't even the full cost. Psychologists describe a state called continuous partial attention. It's that mode of existing where you're technically present but mentally somewhere else. Always half waiting for a notification. Never fully here. One eye on whoever you're with and one eye on the screen. It's why you can spend an entire evening with someone you love and still feel strangely disconnected by the end of it. Part of you was never really in the room. The people who have left social media behind have reclaimed something that's genuinely hard to put a price on. Full presence. The ability to actually be where they are, to give their complete attention to the person sitting across from them, to exist inside a moment without one half of their mind already somewhere else. That's not a small thing. That might actually be the whole thing. Let's talk about the fear that keeps most people from ever trying this. FOMO, the fear of missing out, that low-level anxiety that if you step away, something important will happen and you won't be there for it. That the world will move on and leave you behind. That you'll become irrelevant, disconnected, out of the loop. Here's the honest truth about that fear. Almost everything you're afraid of missing is digital noise. It's content that was engineered to keep you scrolling, not information that actually matters to your real life. The things that are genuinely important, the people who truly care about you, the opportunities that are actually meant for you, they will reach you. They don't need an algorithm to find you. Social media is a tool, a powerful one, but it is still just a tool. And the question worth asking yourself, honestly, is a simple one. Are you using it, or has it been using you? Because reclaiming your attention isn't a passive choice. It's one of the most intentional and quietly powerful things you can do for yourself. It's deciding that your focus, your time, your inner life, and your presence belong to you. Not to a platform, not to an algorithm, not to the approval of people you've never met. The people who don't use social media aren't out of touch. They aren't missing out. They aren't falling behind. They are some of the only people in this world who are actually fully present for their own lives. And in a world where most people are too busy performing their existence to actually live it, that is the most radical thing of all. If this video made you stop and think, you're exactly who this channel is made for. Minimal Psychology is here every week, exploring the science behind how we think, feel, and choose to live. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.